I declare my prejudice, which is I think there is an opportunity. The reason I'm so excited about this agenda, I think there's an opportunity to re-industrialise the UK and re-commercialise and industrialise some of our regional economies without indulging in some massive subsidised failure operation of regional policy of old. When we set up the catapults, they were very, very much based on the Fraunhofer model, and Hermann Hauser, for the record, the only person who's founded over 10 companies and all worth over $1 billion, who came here as an Austrian student. I just made a point. I was very struck that the German economic model is very different. So, question for you, Mathias. We all know that in Germany we have these Mittelstaat, these very strong regional economies. Does the Fraunhofer model, and therefore to some extent our catapult thinking, does the Fraunhofer model reflect that and really work in that ecosystem? Or are there Fraunhofers that have worked in new economies where there aren't industrial partners yet, but the Fraunhofer is able to create that? And my second question to Professor Lee is, as you look at our regional ecosystem and these clusters evolving, what is the main lever that you want to see the government, that has rightly, I think, said, look, we want an active industrial strategy, we want to support new economic growth in these clusters all around the country. What's, for you, the 1, 2, 3 interventions, given your perspective, that would most drive that to happen?
Thank you. This is really a very good question. I think it's both. It's the heavy support of regional activities and the regional economies. I'd say to the extent of, just ballpark number, 90%. 10% is creating new industries, new activities. As, for example, in quantum, when we started with quantum technologies, may it be sensing or computing, we were the first movers in Germany as the non-university research organizations. But to the bigger extent, it's really supporting the local and regional economy. Usually, a Fraunhofer Institute gets 90% of their contracts within a 50 to 100 kilometer radius. And this also explains why we have many institutes that are on production technologies. Yeah? We have 25 of them spread around the country. Because the companies in Munich need them as much as the companies in Hamburg, yeah, and we really want to serve them also locally. This is a tedious business, yeah? Serving 10,000s of SMEs with knowledge transfer and industrial projects. But it's really worth all the efforts, because they heavily benefit. As you very well know, research organizations are always asked about their impact. Yeah? And one of the impact studies we did on Fraunhofer was the kind of impact that we create when we work with local SMEs. And there are several ways that we sustainably impact this SME. First of all, we raise the knowledge bar. Then usually the turnover and the revenues go up after the projects, because you have new products and services that you can sell as company. There is the workforce is much better trained after those projects. Yeah? There is a knowledge gain, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of transfer paths, so we call them. In order to really support the local economy to grow, and for if you talk to small and medium enterprises in your constituencies, you know very well that there is a certain reluctancy to go to a world-known professor in Cambridge and ask a supposedly stupid question. Yeah? If you have a research center next door, next to your facilities, and then you just lower the bar for knowledge transfer in general, and this is truly important.
Can you remind us how many Fraunhofer institutes there are in Germany?
There are at the moment 76 institutes with more than 120 research sites.
Yeah. We have 9 catapults, which was our attempt to reproduce the German model, and I'm not. Yeah, it's very helpful. Thank you, Professor Lee. Can I ask you about the interventions point?
Yes. So, I mean, I'd be cautious about suggesting something which is going to work in Norfolk and Newcastle, right? So this is my sort of general, I'd start off with that as a sort of standpoint, which leads me towards sort of some way of letting local areas decide what works for them and what is the sort of appropriate thing. I noticed in the English Devolution White Paper, for example, there was some suggestions there might be some moves around R&D funding in that. Something like that which allows local areas to sort of address their own sort of specifics would be what I would say, because I just think it's going to be so different in Oxford to, somewhere in the northwest of England. One thing which I would suggest, though, one thing which can be done centrally is better evaluation. And actually, I think that's a really, key.
Better evaluation of...
Better evaluation of innovation policy in this country more generally, right? In that we spend a lot of money on it. We should know better what is working and what isn't. And I'd extend that right across the whole of sort of innovation and industrial policy more generally, actually. Before today, I had a look in the new evaluation registry to look and see what was working and what wasn't, and it was not particularly illuminating. And I can imagine if you're a civil servant or if you're in your shoes, it makes it hard to deal with these questions about sort of trade-offs.
Thanks very much.